1940. The German war machine smashes through Europe at a speed the world had never seen. France, a military giant, fell in just 6 weeks. How did they do it? Military genius? Superior technology? That's the official story. But what if the secret to the Blitzkrieg wasn't in their tanks, but in their veins? This is Pervitin. Today, we recognize its active ingredient as crystal meth. But in the 1930s, it was seen as a groundbreaking stimulant, promising to eliminate fatigue and enhance alertness. Initially marketed by the Berlin-based pharmaceutical company Temmler-Werke, Pervitin was launched as an over-the-counter drug in 1938. It rapidly became popular among the German populace, lauded for its ability to keep users awake, alert, and energized. Its widespread acceptance set the stage for its integration into military use just as World War II began to intensify. The adoption of Pervitin by the German military was almost inevitable given the drug's perceived benefits. With the outbreak of the war, German scientists and military leaders were in a frantic search for any advantage that could be leveraged on the battlefield. The idea of a pill that could keep soldiers awake, alert, and ostensibly fearless was irresistible. Otto Ranke, a military doctor and director of the Institute for General and Defense Physiology at Berlin's Military Medical Academy, played a crucial role in this process. After testing the drug on university students, he became convinced of its benefits for the military. By the time of the Blitzkrieg campaigns, Pervitin was being distributed to troops in massive quantities. It was viewed not just as a medical aid, but as a tactical tool integral to achieving lightning-fast victories. The initial distribution of Pervitin to the troops was widespread and systematic. Records indicate that millions of tablets were ordered for the military. For instance, during the invasion of France in 1940, German forces consumed more than 35 million tablets of Pervitin. The drug's effects were compelling. Soldiers were able to march for days without sleep, maintaining high levels of performance in combat and rapid advancement that stunned their adversaries. A report from a German commander in a panzer division stated, "Pervitin was an excellent substance for keeping alert at the front and for long drives in tanks across the country." However, the extensive use of the drug also led to severe issues. Soldiers experienced adverse effects ranging from hallucinations to heart failure. A poignant reflection of the human cost of this military strategy can be seen in letters sent home by soldiers. One such letter by a young infantryman, Hans Zimmermann, reveals the darker side of Pervitin. "We marched 3 days and nights with no sleep. Pervitin keeps us going, but it turns us into walking ghosts. I tremble and see things that are not there." Despite such first-hand accounts of the toll it took on soldiers, the German High Command continued its distribution, viewing the drug as essential for their military campaigns. As Pervitin became a staple in the German military, its real-world effects on soldiers began to unfold on the battlefields of Europe. The initial advantage seen in the rapid conquests of Poland, Denmark, Norway, and France soon gave way to longer-term consequences, including psychological and physical degradation among troops. What had begun as a miracle pill soon revealed itself as a double-edged sword, offering a brief edge at a severe personal cost to the soldiers, and ultimately impacting the overall military effectiveness of Nazi Germany during the war. This sets the stage for exploring how Pervitin, once seen as a tool of military strength, became a component of the downfall of the Third Reich's war machine. The widespread distribution of Pervitin, a powerful methamphetamine, among the German troops during the Blitzkrieg significantly altered their combat capabilities. In the spring of 1940, the Wehrmacht issued over 35 million tablets of Pervitin to soldiers, aviators, and even tank crews, propelling them through exhaustive and rapid invasions of Poland, France, and the Low Countries. The immediate effects were stark. Soldiers marched longer, slept less, and displayed heightened alertness. One soldier, Hans G., recounted in a letter dated May 1940. With Pervitin, we marched 72 kilometers in 24 hours without feeling exhausted. It was like a miracle. Fatigue seemed washed away. This unusual endurance and relentless advance were crucial during operations such as the swift conquest of France, which stunned the world with its speed and decisiveness. The Battle of Sedan, a critical point in the French campaign, saw German forces, fueled by doses of Pervitin, breaking through the formidable Maginot Line. A tank operator from the 2nd Panzer Division expressed how Pervitin kept him awake and responsive for almost 2 days straight during this pivotal battle, allowing continuous operation of his vehicle, which was key in outmaneuvering and overwhelming enemy defenses. Despite these early successes, the psychological toll and physical repercussions on soldiers began to surface. Reports of heightened morale and invincibility soon gave way to troubling symptoms. Many experienced hallucinations, heart palpitations, and severe depression upon the drug's withdrawal. A journal entry from Officer Dieter H., dated June 1941, starkly illustrates the shift. When the effects of Pervitin wore off, I felt hollow, terribly anxious. It was a descent from hero to zero, the higher the high, the lower the low. These accounts starkly contrasted with the initial optimism surrounding the drug's deployment. As the war dragged on, the consequences of prolonged Pervitin use became more apparent. The initial edge it provided was overshadowed by decreased mental stability and increased fatigue after withdrawal. The Battle of Stalingrad in late 1942, a turning point in the war, underscored this shift. Soldiers, dependent on Pervitin's fleeting boost, found themselves utterly exhausted and demoralized in the face of harsh Russian resistance and brutal winter conditions. The encirclement and eventual surrender of the 6th Army, many of whose soldiers were among those heavily supplied with Pervitin, marked a devastating blow to German military prowess. Thus, while Pervitin initially appeared as a miracle enhancer of military performance, contributing to unprecedented early victories, it inadvertently sowed the seeds of long-term impairment. The very tool that had once empowered the Blitzkrieg became a crutch that weakened the soldier's physical and mental health, eroding the strategic advantage it was meant to provide. This revelation paints a complex picture of dependency and decline, encapsulated in the rise and fall of Nazi Germany's military exploits. As the war progressed, the initial euphoria induced by Pervitin gave way to a grim reality. Soldiers who had been consuming the drug to sustain prolonged wakefulness and intense combat activities soon exhibited severe side effects. Addiction became rampant. Reports from the front lines in 1940, detailed in military health evaluations, spoke of troops unable to function without their daily dose of methamphetamine. The German military doctor, Captain Heinrich Böll, observed that the men are hollow-eyed, nervous wrecks, constantly demanding more of the drug. By 1941, as the Wehrmacht pushed further into Soviet territory, the reliance on Pervitin took a darker turn. Instances of psychosis among soldiers spiked, with documented cases where troops experienced hallucinations and severe paranoia. One poignant report from the Battle of Stalingrad in late 1942 described a young soldier, previously disciplined and effective, who, under the influence of high doses of Pervitin, mistakenly grenaded a German bunker, causing multiple fatalities. This account, sourced from the diary of Lieutenant Ernst Goetz, highlighted the deteriorating mental state of soldiers, clouded by drug-induced delirium. Medical professionals within the German army started to raise alarms about the widespread use of Pervitin. Dr. Otto Ranke, who initially endorsed the drug, began to see the devastating impact on troop health and combat readiness. In a 1943 medical conference in Berlin, Dr. Ranke presented findings showing a significant increase in heart disease and neurotic disorders among soldiers, directly correlating these conditions with prolonged Pervitin use. The military command, previously dismissive, couldn't ignore the evidence as the effectiveness of their forces waned. The long-term aftermath for those who survived the war was equally troubling. Veterans suffered from chronic health issues, including cardiovascular disease and severe mental health disorders. A study conducted in 1950 by the University of Munich revealed that out of 200 former soldiers interviewed, over half had ongoing dependency issues with methamphetamine, unable to reintegrate into post-war life effectively. As Pervitin consumption soared, so did its consequences, reflecting a broader erosion of Nazi Germany's military might. By 1944, with supply lines disrupted and morale sinking, the German military's strategic capabilities were severely compromised. The Battle of the Bulge, a last-ditch offensive, saw German troops, heavily reliant on Pervitin, falter and ultimately fail in the face of Allied forces. General Friedrich von Mellenthin noted in his memoirs, "Our men were physically spent. The drug could no longer mask the exhaustion of relentless combat." The legacy of Pervitin indeed serves as a stark warning against the perils of reliance on artificial enhancements in warfare, illustrating not just a temporary boost in capabilities, but a profound, lasting devastation. This chapter in military history reveals the extent to which desperation and innovative, yet ethically questionable medical practices can intertwine, leading to a catastrophic decline both in individual well-being and overall military effectiveness. This cautionary tale underscores the importance of ethical considerations in wartime strategies, where the health and well-being of soldiers should be paramount. The story of Pervitin is a chilling reminder that the pursuit of a superhuman ideal often comes at the cost of humanity itself. The secret weapon of the Blitzkrieg was ultimately a poison that consumed its users from the inside out. If you enjoyed this story, hit the subscribe button for more fascinating historical deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.